Hi, welcome to this special edition of the Sensible Project Manager Hangout. This is Hangout number 17. I am starting a little bit late today. I have had some technical difficulties. I was trying to get some sound in on our scary moment today, but I wasn't able to get it to work. So I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. Just wanted to share with you that the topic today is scary moments in project management or scary project management moments. And that same topic is being held on the PM chat on Twitter as well. And those of you that are on the chat, hope you enjoy my nice little scary outfit here. I didn't want to be too scary, but maybe if I take everything off, I'm just normally scary. But just wanted to get into the mood of Halloween here in the United States and in many places around the world. Uh, we celebrate Halloween. I don't know if the right word is celebrate, but we enjoy Halloween. And uh, again, That's the reason why we thought about the topic here of scary project management moments. I have some moments that I have had throughout my career that have been kind of interesting. I don't know how people handle long hair. This is driving me nuts, but I'll see if I can get through it. First, I'm going to send out a hey to the uh, the PM chat. Okay. Anyway, so the scary things of sometimes we have moments that are a little scary for us as project managers. I wanted to just share a few of those those moments that I've had with you, and then also see if I can follow some of the some of the discussion that's happening on PM chat. Excuse me, I am alone today. There was a couple of folks that were going to be able to join and had to uh, drop out last minute. So we'll see if we can do a solo thing here. Again, the invite is out to the PM chat folks. If you have any interest of being able to share your scary moments here on the Hangout, feel free to do that. You can send me a tweet with your email address. I'll send you an invite. Those that are on the in the Sensible PM Hangout community, you've already received the invite. You can go there, and we'll get you on here. I'd just love to be able to have you share your thoughts as well. So make sure I'm all set. So one of the things that I was thinking about is looks like Matthew Kidner's out there. Matthew Kidner he is liking my outfit. He says I look like Slash uh, from in I don't know where that's from, but I look like Slash. Anyway, just enjoying this. I thought I would just have a little bit of fun. So sorry if I'm a little bit a little bit disjointed a little bit today, but that's okay. I'm going to have fun with it anyway. Anyway, so let's just get right to it. One of the things I was thinking about is, as I think about scary moments that I've had on my career. Oh, this drives me nuts. Uh, some of the things. This is going to be an interesting day today. That some of the things that have been interesting to me or scary for me as I've had moments of project management was first of all just that step of being able to get my first job as a project manager. I am what is often referred to as an accidental project manager. I didn't set out to be a project manager. but yeah, fell into it. I essentially just kept on getting more and more responsibilities, and the opportunities. Oh, sorry. Matthew Kidner says that it's from Guns N' Roses. Okay, Slash from Guns N' Roses. Sorry, that wasn't my band. Uh, anyway, I just fell into project management, and uh, I enjoyed the things that I was learning as a project manager, and those responsibilities, and just going out and trying to find a job, stepping from that accidental project manager to that first one where I actually applied. I was actually had decided, my family and I had decided that we were going to move, and I just needed to step into a different location, and to do that, I really had to leave my comfort zone, and uh, and really get out there and find myself a new job. So that first new PM job was kind of a scary moment because um, I had to really find something. Now it turned out that it was a slam dunk because I actually, I ended up, my first one was a contract position that I it was a contract position that was not even in the area that we were going to be moving to, but gave me a good transition. So when I went in for the interview, I wasn't even really trying that hard, but I got the job. So that scary moment turned into not as bad as I thought. Now, sometimes we also make, when we're making those choices to change jobs, just the idea of changing employment, either to a different company, to different position, that has always been kind of a nerve-wracking thing for me. uh, every time I have found, if we want to kind of tie, I know that in PM chat we're talking a little bit about the lessons we will learn as well from those scary moments. So one of the lessons that I've learned as I've stepped out into a new position has the lesson I learned is that every time I step into either new organization, it seems like that is a great move for me. It's always something that allows me to grow myself, improve myself as a person, improve my career, and that scary moment of jumping out into a new position is always turns out to be a good thing for me, even though I stepped through that scary moment. Now, uh, let me tell you a couple of instances where I had some scary times on projects. Um, one of the I guess as I think about one of the early scary projects that I had is I was the project manager of uh, at a company where we built banking software, and this particular time was a project I had been working with um, the development of a new product that we were putting together as a company, and I was pretty comfortable with that whole software development cycle, and because I had been doing it for quite a while, and the whole idea of taking the concept of some functionality that we needed to add to the solution, and improving the solution, that I was very comfortable with. Where I that the scary moment that I had was as we developed that solution and we sold this new banking solution to a company actually in Fargo, North Dakota. I was selected as the implementation project manager for that. I had not done implementation uh, software before, and then let alone a banking solution where the solution is really important to be able to have there. And uh, it just took me out of my element. So the scary moment of being able we had to actually go on site to spend some time with the bank, make sure we understood the requirements that they had, and running and managing those the requirements meetings with my team. Just that step of getting from the uncomfortable to the getting from a comfortable moment to the uncomfortable moment. It was a scary moment. However, again, if I think back uh, at that moment in which I had to stretch myself, although it was scary, the the benefits, the great things that happened in that I ended up doing several implementation projects after that, where we were uh, where we were able to implement some great uh, solutions at some pretty big banks. And most of those solutions uh, are still in play today. And I've actually moved on to another position at another companies, several of them. But just that scary moment of stepping into a new role as a project manager, that was a little bit scary for me. Man, I really, one of the things, again, the reason why I was starting a little bit late is I was hoping to had some scary music and throw that into the mix, and not just my gag outfit here, but as well throwing in some sound. So uh, anyway, so the next thing is I had one of the scary projects that I had was a project, actually it was fairly recent, where we had to um, move the data center. The building that the data center was in uh, was was built in the 50s with asbestos in the walls and the ceilings and so forth. And the company decided that they wanted to clean all that up. They were doing complete remodels throughout the building, and one of those was the data center. Now, if any of you have ever done any work with data center, this data center is really running it includes all of the servers for all of the applications and all of the data that is handled throughout the company. So one of the challenges that we had as the project, as a project team, was to move these servers and be able to have no downtime. Well, actually, only the downtime that was allowed during the implementation. I'm sorry, during the downtime, the scheduled downtime maintenance times. And so the fact that we had to move all of these servers, and this project lasted, um, boy, during the actual move time, the planning itself went for months, but for I think the actual moving of the servers occurred over a six or 8 month period, where we had to have very detailed plans moving each one of those. And the scary moment was, first of all, I had never done that type of thing as a project manager before. Luckily, I relied on the team members who had a lot of good skills and the ability to be able uh, to know that those processes. So, but taking those steps of being able to go through the detailed plans on how and when to move these, working with the stakeholders, and the development teams, making sure that we are moving the right servers, the right applications, all of those things that are entailed in moving a data center like that. The databases, all of those was was really detailed work. And so the scary moments were on those days at which we moved servers and the applications. Uh, it was always a scary moment as to whether we were going to have any downtime. And downtime on the applications can mean real money. It means business is not running, and that costs money to the company. And so out of that whole time, again thinking about lessons learned that we have, that we went through the detailed planning. We only had two instances where we had some unplanned downtime. The rest of them occurred flawlessly. Those unplanned downtime was just some minor mistakes that happened, cabling mistakes that had happened during the process. And so each time that we had those two times we had downtimes, we would stop and take a moment to make sure that we understood what happened, so that we didn't repeat those same issues in the future. So the lessons learned I had from those scary moments was a couple of things. First of all, when you are in a situation where you need to have you're in a situation where you're unfamiliar with the details or the technical details of a project, which quite often we find ourselves in as project managers. We might have some pretty good understanding, depending on what type of projects we do. We might be in a project where we have worked as a team member in that field, whether it be software development, construction, whatever that is, and we know that field well. But likely, we do not know all the details, nor should we try to do that. So the one of the lessons I think that I learned as we went through that data center move was the fact that I needed to rely on the importance of the team, the knowledge and experience of the team as we worked through the details. They didn't have the ability to manage or understand the steps we needed to go through the planning point of view. So they were relying on me for the organizational skills, but I have to rely on them to be able to understand what those dependencies of each one of the servers and the applications that go through there. And so that is an important thing for us to do as we are working with our teams. Trust our teams, learn that they have the skills that we need to rely on, and put the trust back into the team, and things go well. Even though you still might have scary moments, those are the kinds of things I think that are really important. Let's see what they're talking about on the PM chat. Uh, Looks like Robert has asked the question of when it gets scary. When it gets scary, executive clients simply won't listen. What do you do as the PM? Um, and so it's here's an answer. Great. My scariest project actually needed a buzzsaw to fix. Um, that was on the previous question. So what do we do when we're talking about? I have some things to add to that. The question about the executives and that those people that you're working with, that you need to be able to help uh, to give guidance and look for guidance from. So I have some examples of some of an scary moment that I had. One of the positions that I held was actually the director of project management at an organization where when I first started to work at that organization, I actually started as the director of development. And I learned real quick the that wasn't apparent when I went through the interview process, the level, or actually the non-level of project management that they had in the organization. Myself and the vice president of technology they were kind of revamping the whole organization from the IT point of view. And so when I got to the organization, the very first thing I saw was a lot of scary things from a project management point of view. Uh, and I'm going to tie this on how that works into the organization and to the executives. in a moment. But to paint you the picture, and some of you might have either live in this kind of environment that's scary for you right now, and some of you might experience those in the future, and you might have experienced them in the past. But the environment that was in this organization had a small IT organization with, oh, there was probably half a dozen software developers, a database guy, uh, of course, help desk type of folks that were helping distribute the computers and so forth. So a fairly small IT organization, but they did develop their own software that they used to manage the business with. They also had some off-the-shelf software that they had implemented, not much. Most of it was in-house developed. One of the way that this organization worked from an IT point of view is if the customer, or the internal customer, the business, needed some changes to the software, um, literally what would happen would be people in the business would send an email to one of the developers that said, "I need this functionality." The developer would say, "Oh, good, I'll put that together," and they would actually take from that email and code up the solution that they needed to have, and then their release process was to put that um, just put the code right into production without any plans. They might even get a request in the morning, and either later on that day or even the next day, they might release that change. Now, of course, since it was that quick, they were not big changes often, but even the bigger changes occurred very similar to that. So when I saw that, that scared me. That's because you probably have seen those type of things. Those of you that are in the software industry. Uh, it's interesting because if you're in that kind of a mode, there is when you're releasing software in that kind of a mode, you don't have it. They didn't have any uh, code control. They didn't have any release processes associated to how we do that. It was like I call them cowboys. They would just get out there and the software developers would just code up something and put it into production. And they might and might not test it, or more likely they would test it, but they might and might not include a QA person to test. And so it was just from my point of view, a very scary moment where I saw that's how they worked. And so I took that scary moment, and we as a management team decided this is not acceptable. Again, I started the same about a week before the vice president of technology started. The company was trying to reorganize and bring in some talent that knew and understand how to fix these things. So we took that scary moment of the aha, oh my goodness, this is how software is developed. And first of all, I apologize if any of you are in that situation. Hopefully you can work through that and you can help turn them around. But we decided that we needed to implement processes and some structure so that we could release software, build software in a very managed way. So actually, one of the very first things I did and that it actually became one of the next scary moments, was that we decided we were going to create a technology PMO, and creating that PMO required us to be able to develop all of the processes. Nobody in the organization, with the exception of myself, knew anything about project management. Uh, there was some experience, especially with the new vice president, and we brought some other folks in from the technical point of view, to help develop processes from the technical point of view to how you do code management, gets the right tools in here so that you can have code control. All of those things that you need to do, put in development good best practices. But I also, from my point of view, took and started building a project management office for the technology organization. So that included training everybody about what project management was about. And that also included, especially, helping the executives all the way up to the CEO, president of the organization, and each of the VPs, to help train them and understand how to do project management, what project management was about. None of them had the experience of project management. They didn't. I think that they might have had a couple of people that they called program managers, but they really weren't even working in that same tech terminology. So that whole process of going through those scary moments of, first of all, finding out that this organization had nothing in place to be able to manage code and was just really cowboying it. Taking that with the idea that we had to then build a project management office to help people understand how we were going to implement a new software development lifecycle, how we were going to have a release process, how we were going to have change management, and implementing everything we know about project management today. Taking those steps were scary. It was scary at times to be able to educate the executives, educate the whole organization, and it was challenging too. So going back to the lessons learned, although that was a very scary moment, seeing how poorly they organized or how poorly they handled the development of software, uh, and no knowledge of project management, that those scary moments turned into great experiences, being able to watch the level of quality of the solutions that we developed over the period of, I think I was there for 3 or 4 years. That quality, raising it from very poor quality software that it was not very manageable to into solutions that were very manageable and processes that were in place. Those things were great benefits and great things that I learned as we went through that. Um, the At that same organization, there was some learning curves, and this takes me to another scary moment. Sometimes in the rush to learn or to implement reasonable expectations for an organization, sometimes the executives, I think this goes back to the second question that is being talked about on PM Chat. What happens if executives dictate something to you as a project manager? Well, an example of what I had with that, I've had the opportunity to implement a couple of ERP solutions in my career. And those of you that have done anything with ERP or know anything about ERP, they're large implementations. They are quite often they take years to implement, and they're very costly. We're talking millions and millions of dollars that are spent for both the software and the implementation processes. Um, and in doing that, one of the um, things that at this company I've been talking about, one of the things that we wanted to do was to implement an ERP solution because the company had very poor understanding of their customers and that relationship. Every all of they understand their customers in the sense that everything was on paper, though they didn't have any real cohesive way of understanding their resources or their customers. So one of the executives decided that they wanted to implement an ERP solution. In doing so, this is where the scary moment came in for me. Again, I was leading the project management team, and we had gotten to the point. It was a couple of years after we had got going with the PMO. We had some processes in place, and then the vice president of technology, and I still think that he should have known better than this, and the CFO, they decided that this ERP solution was going to be implemented, but they dictated some things that was really scary. So the first thing that they dictated was, rather than understanding the requirements, putting out an RFP to solicit the different organizational the different solutions, um, they got together and over dinner they decided that they were going to implement a certain solution, and that solution was SAP. And SAP, although it's a great solution, uh, it is uh, it is a big dog. It's something that requires a lot of work, and without any consultation with myself and other team members, they got together. They actually worked out a deal before we even knew that this was happening, and they came up with a plan. So here we have two executives that chose the solution without going through detailed understandings of what the best options might be out there relative to our requirements and the things we needed to do. And secondly, they dictated a time frame in which this project was going to be run. And the time frame was they wanted to have this ERP solution, which is SAP, implemented in 6 to 9 months. And if any of you know or have gone through an implementation of SAP or any other implementation like that of that size and that magnitude, that is a very aggressive time frame. I have I was a proponent that I was thinking it was going to take no less than a year and likely a little bit more than that. So that was a scary moment for me in those discussions, because here we had two executives choosing the solution and dictating the time frame of that solution. Uh, and and so and there was no discussion about it. This is what we were going to do. Uh, after I had those discussions with both the VP of technology and the CFO, that I didn't agree with the solution and that was chosen and the process that they took. After those discussions were over, I was then told, okay, we're going to do this anyway. That scary moment had to be turned into, all right, let's make the best of this, and let's try to figure out how we implement this as quickly as possible. Uh, and we went through the process. I'm not going to take you through the whole scary moments that we had along the way, but we'll just leave it with the idea that we did get it implemented. It did not take 6 to 9 months. It took more closer to the year that I had thought it was going to be. But we were able to work through those issues, and there was lessons learned on both from myself and others as well. Um, so let's see. Another scary moment that I had, um, and this is in a little bit different realm. And most of these scary moments are points in which they're scary to us. Excuse me. They're scary to us because of the unfamiliarity that we have, uh, that we're jumping into something that we're not familiar with, and we need to understand something better. And the one of this one of the things that I was unfamiliar with, not I hadn't experienced before, was this next thing is going back to that company where we built software for the banking industry. Again, I had gone through the experience of not only developing the software, managing the development of the software as we built the product out, as well as implementing. The next thing, after we had some really good successful implementations of the banking solution, uh, the company then decided that they were going to make some inroads on an international point of view. And so they decided that they were going to implement or see if we can pitch to the banking industry in China. Now, China is a completely different environment um, than what I was used to here in the United States. So, once again, I was chosen as the project manager to head up a team in which we put together a demo, and we actually went to Beijing, China, a couple of times to help understand what the requirements were, to work with the team over there to see if we can put together, understand the requirements of the Chinese banking system and how that applied to. So after a couple of trips to the bank industry, on the second trip, we actually had to uh, demonstrate. This is after I think we spent three months or so putting this demo together, the process of understanding what their requirements were, how the banks in China are run differently than the banks here in the United States, and that whole process was just completely unfamiliar to me, and that was an experience where I truly enjoyed that experience. A lot of hard work. We ended up having to work 18 to 20 hours during the process each day when we were over in China, let alone the the effort that we had in at home when we were putting things together. All of that was quite a bit of work, and it was scary to step out of that comfort level that I had of implementing software here in the United States, and taking that and seeing if we can apply that to a new industry, or not even a new industry, a new way of doing business in China. That was a great experience. Again, I think the theme that I'm feeling as I talk through these things is the 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 uniqueness that happens when we go through a scary moment. It's usually scary because of the fact that we're not quite comfortable with that situation. Um, let's see if there's anything on PM chat that is interesting that we can talk a little bit about. They're talking about there. Robert Kelly has asked a couple of questions about different tools that you might use to basically keep yourself away from scary moments in project management. That's an interesting topic. That is, uh, it's important. I think that the fact that as we know and understand our processes as project managers, the more tuned and honed we are in developing our abilities, our soft skills, as well as the standard processes that are associated with project management. Those kinds of things, as we are more comfortable, those scary moments really become less and less. So those tools, such as uh, I look at is those things which we learn from the frameworks like PMI, and I'm not familiar much with Prince 2, but the very similar processes and framework, as well as Scrum and whatever that choice is that we use for doing our project management, um, if we understand those frameworks, understand those steps and those tools, that really helps us with making sure that we are fulfilling our skills and we are comfortable with implementing things. And that way, when things that are thrown in our pathways that are kind of scary, it does help us through it. Um, there was also some, let's see, oh, an answer to that question I see out here on PM chat is also the risk management is a good tool to understand. So if we put together a good risk management plan, then that helps us with our scary moments because that means we have had some time to think about how we are going to manage and handle uh, certain situations. So it's not just a surprise to us when things pop up. So that is a really good point that is this rough H2O is mentioning on PM chat. Uh, so there's one other thing is one of they're talking about a little bit on PM chat as well has to do with uh, presentations. So scary moments that we might have as project managers is quite often, well, we are always one of the big pieces of our job as a project managers are that we are supposed to be communicators. We are communicators. What is it? 70 to 80% of our job is communication. And so quite often that we become comfortable as we fill in that role of manager, we quite often become comfortable with communicating with our teams on a more intimate basis. But we also are asked quite often to communicate to our executives and other teams in which sometimes uh, we basically we're having to present to people that are paying our paycheck and they have the right and the ability to decide whether they're going to keep us as a project manager. So that becomes scary sometimes. So understanding and honing our skills as communicators will help us get through those times in which we have to present something in a big organization, learning how to speak well. We've talked a little bit before about learning if you're having problems with communicating and get scared with or fearful about speaking in front of groups. Something like getting involved in Toastmasters would be a great thing, and just getting used to that. Well, the time is running down. Again, I apologize for getting started a little bit late, but there was one thing that I wanted to do to wind this up. Again, as I think about those scary moments, I believe that most of those scary moments really are because we are unfamiliar with the situation that we are put in. And so the more that we become familiar, the more that we have these tools that we're talking about in PM chat, being able to understand the processes and so forth. If we do those kinds of things, then that will help us reduce those scary moments or handle those scary moments better. There was an interesting, as I was preparing for this, there was an interesting blog post that I saw, uh, and I'll put this on the Hangout notes. Uh, It was written by Laura Rose. And what is the website? Look, it looks like it's called The Art of Project Management. Anyway, she wrote this article, which got me thinking about it. Is that, and I'm not going to read it to you right now, but she talked about the concept that she believes it's important, and I think that this is the right thing to say. Sometimes it's important for us to step into scary things. So the idea is sometimes we get complacent on what we do, and this is at, by the way, this is at svprojectmanagement.com. do one scary thing a day. Again, I'll put that in the Hangout notes, but the concept here is that although sometimes it's scary, it's important for us to move from our comfortable or our complacent point of view. And she's challenging us to do at least one scary thing a day. When she's saying scary, it means that it's taking ourselves out of that uncomfortable that comfort zone and stepping out something. When we do that, that allows us to stretch and become better people and better project managers. So some examples that she had of that is initiate a meeting with your manager and second line manager on a proposal that you've been working on. Publish a white paper. It could be interview executives in your company for a blog or an article that you want to write. Just doing some of those things, and she lists out some other things, and I just wanted to mention this to get people thinking that sometimes those scary moments, as we've talked a little bit about, it's always because we're unfamiliar with something. But when we do that, when we take or if we take the challenge of doing a scary thing each day, that will stretch us. That will help us move us out of that comfort zone and move us into a point in which we are stretching ourselves and becoming better people, better project managers, and it will help our career. So I'll leave with that thought. I'm going to sign off now and take this crazy wig off because it is driving me nuts. And I wish everybody a happy and safe, those of you that celebrate Halloween, happy and safe and fun Halloween. And go have a scary moment or two each day. All right, talk to you guys later. Until next week, have a great evening and a great day. Bye.